How's it going, Jubitarians? This is Bradley Juby, and it is Top 10 Thursday number 39. And this week we're doing Top 10 NBA Dynasties. Before I get to that, I'll just say that when I speak of a dynasty, I speak of teams that won two or more titles within a certain time period. So even there might be some teams that I might not like, but I kind of have to recognize them. But anyway, let's get going with... Number 10 are bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? The bad boy Detroit Pistons. With Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, Adrian Dantley, Chuck Daly, and all those guys. And man, they were bad to the bone. So bad to the bone that for a while, the GOAT, Michael Jordan, could not get past this team until 1991 Eastern Conference Finals, where after being swept by doubles, the Pistons did not shake their hands at the end of it all. Well, that's why Isaiah Thomas didn't make the Dream Team back in 92. All right, at number 9, we got the 1994 and 1995 Houston Rockets. Now, what's interesting about the Houston Rockets is, in 1995, they were the 6th seed defending their title, but they beat number 3 Utah, I believe, or number 3 Phoenix, and number 2 Utah, and then the top seeded San Antonio Spurs with David Robinson, and then they swept Orlando and Shaq and Penny Hardaway in the finals. And that's where Rudy Tomjanovich said afterwards, don't ever underestimate a heart of a champion. Well, it was the heart of a champion in that particular year with Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler joined the team in 95, reuniting Phi Slamma Jamma from the University of Houston days. But, yeah, at least you Rockets have rings, so don't feel too bad, Rocket fans. And number 8, we got The Heat Is On. The Heat Is On. From the 2010s, we had the Miami Heat of LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Even though one of those titles was stolen from my Oklahoma City Thunder. But nonetheless, they were a pretty strong dynasty that would have probably won not 2, not 3, not 4, but probably 5, 6 titles. They'd still probably be winning championships had LeBron not left. And had Chris Bosh stayed healthy and not gotten sick, I bet they'd still be winning titles to this day. And my number 7 dynasty, which is kind of still going on, would not be winning anything. So I'll go ahead and get to that one. And the not 19. But the late 2010s Golden State Warriors are my number 7. Even though I don't like to admit this, but they are pretty much the dynasty right now. 2 championships in the last 3 years. Maybe a third in 4 years. But they still blew a 3-1 lead in 2016. Although the Thunder blew a 3-1 lead before that. Oh, I still have nightmares. How many threes did we let him shoot? Okay, anyway, let's get to number 6. And we got the 80s LA Lakers. With Magic and Kareem and James Worthy and Byron Scott. And all those guys. I think Pat Riley was coaching for most of that run. They called it Showtime. And maybe they would have been competitive deep into the 90s had Magic not gotten AIDS. But anyway. Yeah. But they weren't the only dynasty back in the 80s. Because there was another dynasty up in the Northeast called the 1980s Boston Celtics at number 5. And they had a dynasty too with Larry Bird, the Hick from French Lick, along with Kevin McHale, and I forgot who the other guys were, but they were still pretty good. And they were pretty stacked too. It's kind of hard. If you wanted a championship in that run, you had to beat both of these guys. And if you didn't, well, you weren't up to snuff. We'll just say that. But anyway, at number 4 is the San Antonio Spurs since 1999. And now the thing with them is with Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan and the big three of Duncan, Ginobili, and Tony Parker, and Kawhi Leonard, who won a title with them in 2014, and David Robinson, who won in 99 and 2003. This dynasty still has the longest playoff streak, and they have 5 titles since 1999, and if Kawhi Leonard stays healthy and they get some more talent, they might still win another title, maybe in the 2020s. But I'm going to go ahead and say, pray for Greg Popovich right now. He lost his wife yesterday. That is sad. It's always sad when you lose the woman you love. All right, at number 3, we got the early 2000s LA Lakers with Kobe and with Shaq and with Derek Fisher. I like Derek Fisher, though. He even spent about 2.5 years, maybe a full 2 years, but with the Thunder. I'm telling you, we still should have won a title with that team in 2012. But it's not about the Thunder, this one. It's about the Lakers. The early 2000s Lakers were pretty much the 90s Bulls, which we'll get to later, but without Jordan. I mean, they had pretty much the same staff as the Bulls had, but man, I'm telling you, back in the day, Phil Jackson could just do no wrong. I mean, he could just win, and win. Unfortunately, Kobe and Shaq had issues, and that team fell apart in 2004. They fell apart in the finals against the Detroit Pistons, and the Lakers wouldn't be really all that relevant until 2008. Now, they did win 2 more titles in 2009 and 2010. I guess I should call that part of their dynasty, even though they didn't have Shaq. But regardless, I guess I'll go ahead and put this down as the 2000s Lakers. So anyway, number 2, we got the 1950s and 1960s Boston Celtics with Bill Russell, who last week I mentioned as my number 3 NBA player of all time. Man, those Boston Celtics, yeah, they'll have a few bad years every now and then, but they're the type of team that could just find a way to win a title in any era, really. But they were the first real NBA dynasty. We'll just say that. I guess they should be number 1 on this list, but I guess I shouldn't let my biases get the best of me. But anyway, man, Bill Russell, he was dominant. He dominated. But so did the number 1 team on this list. I speak, of course, of the 1990s Chicago Bulls. The Bulls! They just owned everything back in the 90s. The 90s belonged to Jordan. The 90s belonged to Pippen and Rodman. Well, at least the second half of that run. But the Bulls. That team is the team that got me into watching the NBA. Anyway, don't forget Free Format Friday tomorrow, and Game 3 is on Saturday, actually. Well, anyways, Bradley Juby, thunder up!